Hello, today we'll be doing a basic FieldShield masking job using the FieldShield masking job wizard. If you have any questions or you would like more information, see the description for learning material and contact information. To begin, you can see that we are in the IRI workbench, and this is going to be the first page that appears when you initially load up your workbench for the first time. And I recommend you take a moment to go through a few of these just to get your bearings straight. But for now, we're going to go ahead and X out of this welcome. And first thing you'll see is a Project Explorer on the left, a Data Source Explorer on the right, and then this main screen in the middle. I do already have a few projects here, but that's okay. We're going to create our own for this demonstration. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and right-click inside the Project Explorer. We'll do a new project, and then we'll select IRI, and then an IRI project. We'll go ahead and give it a name. And we will create the data class library, and we will populate the library with data classes. We'll select Finish. And as you can see here, our new project has been created. First things first, we'll go ahead and open up this IRI library that was just created. And since we chose to create data classes with it, these are the default data classes that come when we created the project. So you see we have a few of them called names, credit card, email, license plate, phone number, social security number, and VIN. But we are actually not using data classes for this wizard, and instead we'll just focus our attention on the rules section. So the rules allow us to do some sort of masking, encryption, or generation, but for this example, we will be doing masking. And these are some of the functions that we have, but we'll deal with that later. The only thing important is that we have this format preserving encryption rule already created, and I just wanted to show that to you guys now. So we'll go ahead and move over to the job. Since there really is no other prerequisites that we need, we'll just go ahead and jump straight to the wizard. We'll go to the FieldShield menu, and we'll select this new masking job. From here, we can leave everything as default, making sure Create Script is on, because that is the script that will be doing our masking. We'll select Next, and here it's going to ask for a data source. So we need to add a source. We will be doing a type of a file, and we'll browse to the location of the file, which is going to be here. And then it's going to be inside this bank file and this bankout.txt. We'll change the format to delimited since it's a tab delimited file. We'll select OK. And you're going to see here, section bank out has no metadata and we can't continue unless we fulfill that. So we'll go ahead and select discover metadata. Everything on this is default and that's fine. We'll select next. And here it's going to ask if we want to detect the fields in the file. So we'll select yes. And as you can see here, this is what our preview looks like, and everything on that looks right. But one thing to note is that this frame is actually an empty string since there is no frame surrounding this information. For this specific example, I'm going to show you what it looks like if we do not get the field names from the header row. So we'll select OK. We'll select Next, and you can see here that it actually has the names of field 1, field 2, field 3, so on and so forth. And actually in our data is going to be the headers. So that's something that you need to consider as to whether or not you do or do not have headers. So since this is not what we want, we'll go ahead and cancel, and we'll redo it. Discover metadata, select Next, we'll select Yes, empty string, and then this time we'll make sure that we click Get Field Names from Header Row. We'll select OK, we'll select Next, and here you can actually see that our data looks correct and the headers have been taken out, and instead of it saying field 1, 2, 3, we now have the actual names of the fields from the header. So we'll select Finish, and it's asking us if we want to copy the fields to this job section, and essentially all that means is those fields that we just classified are going to be placed inside of this, so we'll select yes. And as you can see, these fields now appear here. From here, we'll select next, and we are on our data targets. So we will select add data target. It will be a file, and since there's no reason to browse, we'll just create our own, and we'll just call this maskedbank.txt, and we'll change the format to delimited. We'll select OK, and as you can see here, it says it has no metadata, which is fine, because it's just going to copy the metadata from the original file. One thing we do need to do, though, is we need to go into this target field layout. And as you can see here, this is going to be the field layout of our masked bank once it's done being masked. And essentially, it's just taking these fields from our input. But the important part here is, since we're not using these data classes, we have to manually go into each of these fields and add a rule to all of the fields we want a rule applied to, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll add a few rules. So we'll go to the social security number, we'll right click it, apply rule, browse rule, and then our format preserving encryption rule that we had created originally is there. So we'll select OK. And we'll go ahead and just add one more to the email, apply rule, browse rule, and we'll select OK. Now, just very briefly, I'm going to go ahead and show you what it's like when you create your own rule. So we'll do a pseudonymization on the full name. So we'll go ahead and right click, apply rule, create rule, and we'll scroll down to the pseudo replacement, custom set file replacement values, and we'll call this name replace, just like that. You can leave the name as default if you'd like. We'll select next, and it's asking us to browse to a set file. So we'll go into our IRI folder, our co-sort folder, sets, US, names, we'll go into fake names, and then we'll do last comma first since we're dealing with a full name, or we'll do first last. We'll do that one instead. We'll select open and finish. And one thing I do want to point out is that all of those sets come pre-shipped with all installations of the Workbench. As you can see, our set file has been placed on this full name. So we now have 3 rules attached to this file, and this is how it will be masked. So we'll select OK, and we'll select Finish. And as you can see on this left-hand side, underneath our FieldShield video demo folder, we have this new job.fcl, which has been pulled up here. So very briefly, I would like to discuss with you what you're looking at. The easiest way to think about this is we have some sort of source, which is going to be this int file, right? Essentially, all it's saying is that it's a process of delimited, and then it's just declaring all of these fields that were inside of the metadata. We're doing some sort of job, which is this report, and then we have some sort of target, which is going to be this maskedbank.txt. Again, using the same fields as above. One thing to note, though, is that some of these are named different. That's because these have the rules applied to them. As you can see here, we have this format preserving encryption here, format preserving encryption here, and then this pseudo replacement right here. So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and do the masking job. We'll right click, run as, and an IRI job. Perfect. Everything looks like it went through well. And we'll go ahead and open up this maskedbank.txt. So I'm actually going to go ahead and bring over our original, so that way you can see the difference here. And as you can see, we have this customer ID, full name, and then here you can actually see that the names have been changed. So let me actually bring this back up. Oops. So we have this 450 Highland Ave with a from month, and the name has been changed. What else did we change? The social security number has been changed. So the final one, which is this, has been changed, so on and so forth. So everything that we applied a rule to has been changed inside the document. And just like that, we have officially completed a very, very basic field level FieldShield masking job.